So I just read something really interesting, and I think that we should all know about it, so I'm going to try to tell you guys about it as quickly as I can, and then you can read about it in the description. I'll post the link. It's pretty awesome. So there is a little village in Mexico, Campeche, Mexico, called SucTuc. I know I'm not going to say any of these names right, so my bad. But so there's this little place called SucTuc. Their main source of income is apiculture, which means that they do beekeeping and agriculture, mostly corn. So before I get to any of this, SucTuc is trying to be a self-governing village or city. And there are certain events that led up to this decision. So here are some of the events that happened or that took place, and this happened over several years of different bouts with the government. Okay, so like I said, their main source of income is apiculture, beekeeping, and agriculture, specifically corn, the production of corn. So in 2012, June 2012, the Mexican government actually granted Monsanto 253,000 hectares of land. That's 625,000 acres of land. So because of that immense deforestation that took place, it heavily affected the SucTuc village. Beekeepers produce like a certain amount of drums of honey. I don't know exactly how it works. I'm not a beekeeper. I don't know how much is in a drum. I tried to find out. So if you know, you can tell me. But typically SucTuc produced 10 to 15 drums daily of this. After Monsanto came in and cleared out the land and started putting their genetically modified soybeans in place, the bee population decreased dramatically due to that. And then they only were producing 2 to 3 per day after that. So this was a very, very sudden change. They said that it wasn't a gradual thing. It just happened very quickly once Monsanto came into place. So also Monsanto was spraying chemicals on their crops via an aircraft, and that was affecting the nearby lands and also the health of those people. In August 2016, the Center of Ecology, Fisheries, and Oceanography of the Gulf of Mexico of the Autonomous University of Campeche, they produced some research. They found glyphosate, which if you study or follow anything that Monsanto does, that is something that they put in their chemicals. They found glyphosate in the groundwater and in the blood and urine of women and children. It was affecting the land, it was affecting their health. That was one thing. Then, a few years later, 2016, December, actually very recently, Olivia Esther Ucan Chan, can't say any of those names, she's a commissioner. The commissioner was supposed to help the communities receive scholarships for the youth, but instead she diverted those funds elsewhere. I'm not exactly sure where she put those funds into. I don't know what government officials do with funding that they're supposed to give to the people. So she didn't give those funds to the communities, and she falsified a lot of documents in order to get around all this. So the community was very upset about this. December 14th, 2016, the community, SucTuc, attends city council meeting and raises concerns about the commissioner committing fraud. Javier Soberinas Acosta was supposed to help set up a resolution meeting, but instead the officials let it go. So what I mean by that is December 16th, they were supposed to have a meeting. The members of the SucTuc community and the city council were supposed to have a meeting, but no government officials showed up to have this meeting. So obviously that angered the villagers, and they went out and blockaded the Campeche highway for 3 hours until 3 city council members arrived and agreed to meet and resolve the issue. Finally, they decided to meet, and they met at the SucTuc police station. So they get to the police station, they start trying to figure out what they need to do. The first thing that the community wanted was the commissioner to resign. So they come to this agreement that she's going to resign. They get these papers ready. They're sending it off to her house. At the same time, 4 truckloads of anti-riot police arrive on the scene. And they show up with batons, they show up with tear gas. They enter into the meeting place using verbal violence and psychological violence on the people, until eventually they actually start using physical violence. No surprise there. There were other villagers that came to try to help those people, and then they ended up getting rocks thrown at them and tear gas thrown at them. All kinds of stuff was happening just due to the fact that these people wanted the commissioner to resign. Keep that in mind. Okay, it's not that big of a deal. Like, if these are your representatives, right, it shouldn't be such a big issue. The commissioner never resigned. She wasn't replaced. And the community responded with, "We are not going to continue going to the city to demonstrate. We will organize locally to choose our representatives and change course." So this was a moment that the community decided they're going to take the matters into their own hands because they realized that the representatives are not representing them. The government is not going to willingly let go of a community of people, okay, a community of workers. They're not going to just willingly let SucTuc become a self-governing body. So what SucTuc needed to do is have complete support from the community, which they did, because the community was annoyed with Monsanto and the health effects and the land effects of their business. So on January 9th, spread by word of mouth, the community called for an election of local representatives. So they decided to elect people locally. But they had someone actually infiltrate, which is pretty common, I guess. They had somebody from the PRI, which is Institutional Revolutionary Party. I kind of vaguely looked them up, but they diverted from the objectives that were set in place, and so I guess it got chaotic, so then they had to postpone it till the next day. So January 10th, SucTuc elected the members of an autonomous governing council and 3 representatives who will serve as treasurer, secretary, and a new commissioner, respectively. Almost at the end of this historic movement, Javier Soberanis made an appearance with complete exasperation, intimidating and trying to revert the agreements reached. So he came in and he was telling them that they can't be doing this. They can't be electing their own representatives. What kind of thing is this? Is this a free country? It's not a free country. So, and also the Secretary of Council tried to tell SucTuc that they can't just go around electing their own representatives. They need to wait until the time to vote comes, because they elected that commissioner, so they have to wait until the next time. And also, there's no other villages in Campeche that are doing this, that are self-governing, so it's just not a thing that they can allow. It just doesn't even register in their heads, I guess. The villagers, they didn't care. So they voted, they picked their representatives, and they all agreed to this new form of government that they were creating. It's kind of cool because it was a direct action against the state, against the political regime. They took matters into their own hands after many years of dealing with nonsense that they shouldn't have had to deal with due to their government. They decided that it's time for them to represent themselves, which is really what it should be. Anarchy doesn't have to be about there not being any order, because that's what people think sometimes when they think about anarchy, is that it's just total chaos. But the thing is that anarchy just allows you to create your own kind of system that works for you as a community. As long as it's voluntary, as long as people are okay with that idea of whatever you're putting in place in the area, they're able to make their own decisions. They're adults, these people. And they decided that the government, the Mexican government, wasn't working for them. And there's plenty of stories that show how the Mexican government treats their people and how the people kind of rise up. There's different cities throughout Mexico that rise up against the Mexican government itself. So the new governing body of SucTuc headed to Campeche on January 11th. I know I'm saying that so wrong. Where they were told once more that the commissioner will not be resigning, and the commissioner has still yet to come out and talk to the people ever since this incident occurred. She doesn't owe anyone anything. And so the point of all this is that there are communities rising up because they see the corruption firsthand. SucTuc is a very small village. I think there's about 1,100, maybe 1,200 people, and there's only half of that are registered in the area. So it's a very small community of people, and they saw firsthand how the government allowed a corporation like Monsanto to come in and completely destroy their profits, their health, and their land. And then something so simple as the commissioner handing over scholarship funds to the community wasn't even met. It was completely the government, or the officials of the government, don't have to answer to the people, and that's why she didn't. And it's a little bit crazy to me, but I thought it was a very interesting story. I think everyone should know what's happening in SucTuc, Mexico. And if you find out any more information, please share it, because I tried to look it up and I couldn't find too much on it. But there you go.